a ghost that I'm straight.
Screw the rules, I have green hair.
Get your hairy balls out of my face.
I'm saving up my money to become a table dancer in New York.
Hey, that's where my accent comes from.
Hello, this is Arceus462 again, continuing on with the explanation videos of 3 decks, thanks to me celebrating me joining with Team D19. And this is a plant shooting star slash, well, just plain plant shooting star dragon deck, basically to get out the higher synchros. And now, many people have made plant decks, but not quite to get out the bigger synchro monsters, or quite like this one. And so, I did a couple mods, but I thought it was for the best, and so here we are. And so in here I kind of run a Gigavise combo right here with the Gigaplant and Titanials. Is basically, of course, Gigaplant, you know, everybody knows what he does, but for those that you don't, if he's a Gemini, but once he's normal summon, which is during your next turn, you get to summon him again. You get to summon up insect or plant type monster from your hand or graveyard. Well, how do you get his effect right away the first turn you need it? Well, there's a card called Supervise that basically equips to a Gemini monster and it gains its effects. And the best part about this Supervise card is that once it's going to the graveyard, then you can special summon one normal monster from your graveyard. Well, in this deck, you may think there's no normal monsters, but Gigaplant, in a sense, is a normal monster. So, as soon as you synchro up with cards like Plague Spreader, or Spore, or Glow Up Bulb, you instantly get a Vec, plus the synchro monster you just summoned, because the card's effect goes off after you synchro summon, and thus you get a Gigaplant and your synchro monster. Even though he doesn't get his effect anymore, you still have 2 beat sticks then, if not more. Then of course we go to the Dandelions, and everybody tries like a quick draw dandy, a regular dandy, whatever dandy decks they've possibly made. Well, there's quite a few ways in this deck to bring out Dandelion, like Gigaplant and Lone Fire Blossom, but one I specifically like is the Super Solar Nutrient. It's basically tribute a level 1 or level 2 or lower plant type monster, and special summon one plant type monster whose level is equal to or lower than the tribute monster's level +3 from your hand or deck. So, if you tribute something like an Evil Thorn, which I'll talk to you guys about that later, then you get your Dandelion right away. And then plus you can use it for synchro summoning, like after you tribute it for Gigaplant, Titanial, or a synchro summon. Then of course we move on to Lone Fires. We all know why those are there. Then there's Glow Up Bulb, which basically sends the top card of your deck to the graveyard to special summon it from your the card from your graveyard. So in a sense you can synchro summon twice per turn, but once you use that effect once, it can't be used again for the rest of the duel. And you think, well, that's kind of useless if I can only use it once. No, it's not, because you could still use it for cards like Mark of the Rose and Super Solar Nutrients and synchro monsters like Shooting Star Dragon, Stardust, and all that. Heck, even a Power Tool Dragon. So, he is very nice, especially going with the tokens synchronizing for Formula Synchron. And then there's Spore. There's a lot of controversy behind this card. Some people said it's great, you must add it to your deck, and some people kind of go, but I think it's a great card because you get to remove a plant monster from your graveyard and special summon it and increase it by the level of the monster it removed. So let's say you removed an evil thorn you don't need anymore. Great, now he's level 2. And put it together with Gigaplant for level 8. Great. But the only problem is you can only activate it once per duel. Like the glow up bulb. The only difference is the way it needs to be summoned. And then of course we got Titanial for, of course, obvious reasons. And then we got Sanguine as a search engine. And then we got the evil thorns, and you go, well, why would I need an evil thorn? Well, they're very nice because you can even do this on the first turn too with the right cards, is because you can use its effect, inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent, plus you get 2 evil tokens in the same turn. Even though effects cannot be activated, you can get rid of them for Super Solar Nutrient, which is very cool. So, and plus you can also use them for Synchro monsters, so that's nice too. Then we got a card called Different Dimension Reincarnation, and you go, well, there's not really much removing in this deck, so what's the point? Well, you got 3 cards you're using for removal. You have Mark of the Rose twice, you got your Spore, and then you got your Plague Spreader. So now you got 4 monsters you can bring back with a Different Dimension Reincarnations effect. And so, even though you discard 1 card, fine, you know, then you can get rid of Dandelion for its effect. And then you get 2 tokens plus the monster you use Dandelion to discard for, and bring it back. And of course we got Call Haunted, we all know why. Royal Decree is just to basically stomp out any traps your opponent might have set for you, like Solemn Warning and Mirror Force, or Solemn Judgment, which these two, we all know why we've used those. Then we got Arms Hole. It may be something called something else in the original trading card game, but basically what it does, send the top card of your deck to the grave and add 1 equipped spell from your deck or graveyard, but you cannot normal summon a monster this turn. And you go, oh, okay, that's kind of stupid. Well, no, it's not. You can still set, which means you can set a Sanguine or a Dandelion. And then plus you get your cards that you want, like Mark of the Rose, DDR, and Supervise. It depends on what hand you have that this card could be useful for. And then of course we got Mark of the Rose, which is basically like a change of heart, but it just changes often. And of course we got Trenchel, 2 MSDs, 1 for 1. Well, as far as targets, we got 1, 2, 3, at least about 5 targets, but that's including the copies. So, as in for 1 for 1, it's very nice, because then you can use it to summon Evil Thorn, use Evil Thorn's effect to bring up 2 more Evil Thorns, and then you can use those for tributes or Synchro monsters. Then of course we got Plague Spreader, which, you know, everybody uses. It's such a staple card, but why would it be in plant deck, right? Well, the thing is, I was skeptical about adding it, but I was kind of going lenient on him, and decided to test him for myself in this deck. So, and I've seen a lot of people win with him, so I'm just hoping he'll do the same here. Plus, he's a level 2 Synchro. We all know how he's summoned and all that. And then we got Notorio Cosmo Beat, which is when your opponent's normal summoner sets a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Well, that's nice too, because then you get a tuner, and the fact you could summon it defense in case he's got a monster to blow you away. Or a monster that isn't strong enough to take him out, and doesn't quite synchro for them yet. So that's very nice. And as for the synchro monsters, well, there's some I want to talk about that are essential to this deck. Like the Formula Synchron. Well, okay, strange, it's level 2, but it's got a nice effect. Is that when it's synchro summon, you draw one card, and during your opponent's main phase, you can use it for synchro summon as a synchro material monster. So it's a synchro and a tuner, which is nice, because then you can use it to summon out bigger cards like Scrap Dragon and Stardust Dragon and Power Tool Dragon. God, there's a lot of dragons in here. But anyway, then of course we got Brionic and Castador. We all know why. Now, Power Tool Dragon. I added him because of his effect, and solely his effect alone, as opposed to the equip card effect. Well, of course you got 8 targets in that deck, so you can at least use his effect maybe 5 or 6 times. I don't quite remember. It depends if they get discarded or not, but then you can use those effects right away on other cards, which is nice, and it just searches them out. And of course we got Scrap Dragon and Stardust for God knows why. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This card is not out yet, but it'll probably most likely be limited when it's set and out there, and most likely will be banned maybe later on, maybe when they add more cards from later dual terminals. But basically it needs 2 non-tuners and 1 tuner, level 9, and once it's synchro summoned, you can remove from play 1 card from your opponent's hand, graveyard, and his side of the field. So he's basically giving you total control. He's like Akai's, but 3 times better. The only thing that bugs me about him is the fact he needs 2 non-tuners, but with most decks it's really not much of a problem to summon them, like Flame Bells. With this deck I'm not quite certain if I should use him or not, but I'm not quite skeptical about it as some of the other cards. Like Shooting Star Dragon, I love this card. I really do. Like the Red Nova Dragon they made, it's awesome because of their effects and their effects alone, and plus the fact they are huge. I mean, 3,300 attack synchro monster, that's insane. Not too many other cards have that. So we got his 5 effects, but he needs Formula Synchro and Stardust to summon himself. That, in a sense, is all we can do right now until they come up with other cards from the Tech Genus series, and those are also tuner synchro monsters, but those will come out later. But basically, he's there if you want to just, well, show off, or if you want to go for the win, because it can active, negate, and destroy. It doesn't need to tribute itself, and plus it's got that tuner effect, which you search your deck for as many tuners for like the top 5 cards, and let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 tuners, so it can attack up to 4 times, which is nice. And of course we got Black Rose, not only for its destructive effect, but also its other effect, is that you can remove and play a plant type monster and change a defense position monster on your opponent's side of the field to attack position, and have the attack of that monster become 0 till the end of the turn. So if you got battle something against like an FGD that he summons, great, you can either blow him up, like if he bomblesses it, or you can use its effect and risk it all and go after his FGD. and that kind of concludes on this plant SSD deck. Well, I don't know what's to worry about in this deck yet, other than a bad hand and possibly not getting the cards you need in time. Like maybe if you draw nothing but equip spells, or nothing but spells. But other than that, I don't really think you will run into much problems with this deck. And that concludes the explanation for the plant SSD, and I'll see you in the next one.
Now, Yugi, prepare to suffer defeat at the hands of my...
I can't